Tonight at 10, two juggernauts of game studios battle it out to see who will win the PC gaming audience, the new kid on the block or the old man who has a lot of capital and constantly screwing everyone over but themselves. This is Food for Thoughts with your anchorman Chem the Chameleon, explaining you why you should forget the garbage platform known as Steam and come over to Epic Game Stores instead.
Are you fucking blind? You can't see me!
I crashed.
You crashed! How are you coming fast?
On today's news, Epic Games have recently acquired the exclusive rights to the PC digital version of Metro Exodus for the upcoming new Metro game from 4A Games with publisher Deep Silver. It's another part of the long-time tactics of Epic Games to gain exclusive rights to PC games from both indie and AAA studios to beef up their gaming libraries to compete against the original digital store, Valve Steam. Epic has gotten exclusive rights from games before, such as Supergiant's Hades, Team 17's Genesis Alpha 1, and even gotten rights to The Walking Dead Season 4 and Ubisoft's Division 2, and Steam on the other hand does not. So what does make Metro Exodus anything different from Epic Games? Well, this time, Valve decided to make a huge fuss about losing Exodus from their store and make a statement. We think the decision to remove a game is unfair to Steam customers, especially after a long pre-sale period. We apologize to the Steam customers that were expecting it to be available for sale through the February 15th release date, but we were only recently informed of the decision and given limited time to let everyone know. Oh no, what about the people who pre-ordered the game on Steam when it was available? Well, Valve already answered that question earlier in the same statement just before the quote I showed you. Later today, sales of Metro Exodus will be discontinued on Steam due to a publisher decision to make the game exclusive to another PC store, the statement says. The developer and publisher has assured us that all prior sales of the game on Steam will be fulfilled on Steam, and Steam owners will be able to access the game and any future updates or DLC through Steam. So, what's the problem with that affects Steam customers? What? A game that was available on their store is now on someone else's? Oh no, the poor customers. How can they get Metro Exodus? They must go through so much, like downloading a launcher from Epic's website and creating a new account and having to go through the pain like putting your credit card information while buying a game. Is just too much for Steam audiences. Enough with the jokes. The only reason Valve's so salty about Metro Exodus leaving Steam and not the numerous indie developers selling PC games on Epic Store is that Metro Exodus is a well-established AAA game that will predictably sell well, especially on PC, because it's a hardcore post-apocalyptic FPS, and of course PC gamers love those kinds of games. Another reason for the salt is that the exclusivity deal was done between Koch Media, who was the sister company of THQ Nordic, who also owned Deep Silver, who's publishing the game. Koch Media also owned the brand of Metro Games, so they have more influence over this than Deep Silver. Why does that matter? Well, because since the exclusivity deal has been announced less than a month before the PC launch of the game, Valve has probably spent time and money alongside with Deep Silver to promote the game on the platform for months, and for Epic to just steal the game away for them just close to finishing the game, it can piss off any sort of company. Now I know what you're going to say. Isn't Epic playing unfair dirty tricks against Valve with the whole exclusivity deal? Why am I siding with Epic instead of Valve? I would be, if Valve didn't play far dirtier tricks not only to Epic, but also to every game studio, publisher, and even to consumers. Remember back in 2015 when good guy Valve decided to allow full refunds to customers as long as they do it under the 2-hour time limit? The gesture wasn't from the kindness of their heart, it was because Valve was caught breaking EU customer laws and they couldn't afford paying the yearly fines from it. Oh yes, from 2004 all the way to 2015, Valve was breaking multiple consumer rights laws in multiple countries in the EU and Australia by denying the rights of consumers to refund their purchases for multiple reasons, as long as it's done within the 2 weeks. Valve, in order to protect their hide, decided to create a new terms and condition contract for gamers in the EU to completely deny their rights as an EU citizen as long as they buy their games. Australia wasn't having it and publicly called out Valve's bullshit in the Australian Federal Court throughout 2014 and 2016, demanding how much money they made throughout Steam's lifetime sales. You think that Valve will have no problem flexing on these hoes, but nope, they straight up refused to a government of all things. They stalled like a motherfucker throughout the court process and tried to make lazy excuses like, we're an American company that just happened to sell games to Australians, so we don't have to follow every Australian law. Well, that didn't stop you from following laws in Germany, right, Valve? Sadly, Valve got away from all of it, as they only got charged $3 million in fines, which seems like a lot, but comparing to the amount of money Valve makes in a year, that didn't hurt them at all. Also, fun fact, EA Origins, Electronic Arts' alternative platform to Steam, all consumers got full refunds back in 2013. The company that people loves to demonize legally supports consumers' rights years before good guy Valve did. You thought Valve stripping away the rights of consumers so they can exploit them is bad? Well, that's nothing compared to what they did to developers. Now let me ask you something. Why do you love Steam so much, and why you constantly use it? If you answer Steam sales, you're right. Well, do you think that developers that discount their games wanted to do so? Before I discuss the topics, it's important to bring up context of how it happens. Before digital games on PCs were as cheap as fish and chips, games like Super Meat Boy and Fez cost around $10 to $15 when it was first released on XBLA. But now with Steam and its rising popularity thanks to cheap digital games, finding these same games now, it would be way cheaper than it used to be. Yes, these games are old, so they would be much cheaper than before. But what about new games that are similar? These days, thanks to Steam sales, consumers are now so used for games being so cheap they will publicly boycott an indie platforming game that happen to be $15 because it's a rip-off, no matter how much the quality of the game is. It forces developers to cut down the price of the game even at launch so they can attract new customers. But the problem is that the devs cannot afford it and need to sell more games to cover the cost. But thanks to Steam's garbage algorithms, many indie studios these days go bankrupt because of this. Even if they sell well, they have to give up a major chunks of the profits to Valve as a licensing fee. How much? 30% for each copy of the game sold. I'm not joking. Yes, Valve did make changes to the fee 2 months ago, but the difference is that unless your game sells over $10 million, Valve will lower the percentage. But that's only there just to appease the AAA studios, because companies like Bethesda and Activision are now releasing games that used to be on Steam to their own digital stores, and this is just a form of bribery from Valve to convince others to stay with them. This hasn't got anything to do with indie devs, because Valve knows that they will not get as much sales anyway, because of the algorithm and releasing hundreds of thousands of games each year. So unless you're published by Devolver Digital or anyone with lots of cash, you don't have a chance. So after all that, is it so hard to understand why indie devs like Supergiant Games, Team Meat and Tripwire is jumping on Epic's platform? With the promise of a 12% licensing fee from Epic, who wouldn't want to accept the opportunity to flip the bird at Valve in their shitty store while making more money than ever? I could go on about all the shitty things Valve has done, attempting twice to monetize the modding community for their benefit, the disaster of Steam Greenlight and its successor Steam Direct, and how Valve straight up refused to monitor and police their own store, allow garbage asset flip games by stealing attentions away from good games. If you're interested, there are great videos out there from Jimquisition and Super Bunny Hop that discuss this more closely, and they are worth watching for those who don't. The reason I want to make this video because I am tired of Valve getting away from their crimes and the apologists making up excuses to justify their shitty behavior. EA and Activision, two companies that have a lot of hate recently, and for good reason, look like saints compared to Valve. Their crimes aren't even in secret. My sources from this is from a Polygon article that was written in 2017. Jim Sterling has actively covered Steam's failings for years now, and they got a lot of views, so why do people keep associating with the company that invented modern loot boxes of all things? Nostalgia? Maybe? But it's obvious why Steam has prevailed for so many years, because it's PC gaming's own digital store. Yeah, there's GOG and Origin, but those stores couldn't compete with Steam, and those stores are only seen as optional rather than competitors. For the longest time, if you have a problem with Steam, either leave or shut up. That is your only two options. But finally now there's a new option, a new store, from a AAA company with Fortnite cash to save PC gaming from the greedy monster known as Steam. That's why I'm backing Epic Games hard for this, and yes, the games are limited and pricey for now, but if it helps the game studio survive in this economy, then I won't complain. If Jim Sterling can create a movement against Konami with #FuckKonami, Let's start making a movement against Valve with hashtag fuck Valve and hashtag fuck Steam. This is Chem the Chameleon, spitting out cold hard truth for you all. Signing out.